Assalamu alaikum. I am Ahmed Ramadan for Muslim Network TV, and this is GTA Muslims Today. I'm sitting here with Kyle Hutton, a candidate for Burlington for the Green Party. Kyle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. As mentioned, my name is Kyle Hutton. I've been a resident for Burlington for over 20 years, and I'm running for the Green Party of Canada to make sure that there is a progressive option, a climate conscious option on the ballot for the next MP for Ottawa.
So, what originally got you into politics, and why are you running as a Green candidate specifically this election?
So when I first could vote in 2008, I joined because my primary issues and concerns, unsurprisingly, are around the environment, climate change, making sure that we protect ourselves from the existential crisis that we're facing right now. That at the time was as a Liberal, and I supported the Liberals all the way up to 2015 when I thought Justin Trudeau offered the best option going forward. But after a few years of scandals and broken promises, I joined the Greens because I felt they had the best platform and also the best ability to represent my views and make sure that Parliament actually cooperated versus continuing with the sort of partisan mess that we've seen over the last few decades. And I think that they continue to be the best option right now.
So, you originally run in the provincial elections. This election, you're running in the federal election. What makes this election so important?
So, obviously, we have so many large issues facing our country right now. Tariff threats, sovereignty threats, as well as threats abroad. Basically ensuring that Canada's station in the world is weakening. We follow the United States so much on so many things, which I think is just frankly wrong. And I think more and more people are becoming engaged in that issue. Before, people were happy to say, well, whatever we're doing internationally doesn't really matter. But it's come into such direct scope that I think people are finally saying, what are we doing internationally? What are we doing to protect ourselves? And I really want to make sure that a green message is out there about protecting not only Canadian sovereignty, but making sure that Canada is a leader in the world, not just a follower.
So you touched on 2 points, both the kind of local or Canadian issues and then the international issues. Let's start with the local ones. You've been knocking obviously on a lot of doors. What are a lot of the issues that voters and constituents are concerned about right now?
So, unsurprisingly, the main concerns are the chaos coming from the south. Tariff threats, when we already have a huge cost of living crisis, is only threatening to put more and more people into further debt, which right now I feel that the Liberals and Conservatives primarily are fighting over who can give the largest tax cut to people making, way more money than most people in Burlington are ever going to. I think people want an option that's going to protect our sovereignty, yes, make sure that we're investing money back into Canada, not making sure our wealth continues to flow south. But they also want to make sure that the economy is being built towards something that's going to serve everybody, not just continue to serve the wealthiest 1% in this country.
So what is there's been obviously a serious issue, like you mentioned, about cost of living, housing. I mean, people in Burlington are having to move out of the city because of the high housing costs. What are the things that the Green Party is offering these people and why they should vote for the Green Party?
So just to pick up on the housing issue particularly, because that affects me as a Burlington resident, housing costs in Burlington are some of the highest in Canada. Even given that fact, we have a reduced rental pool year over year, even though we already have a scarce situation. Builds here are not built for affordability. They're built for the market. They're built to be sold because developers want as much profit as they can get. Greens are proposing a public housing plan, the biggest we've seen since the 1970s in this country, to build truly affordable homes. That means no more than 30% of your income should go to be keeping a roof over your head. We want to make sure that that investment's actually put into place. We don't want sprawl, but we want density. We want nice, dense builds within the community, building up a community rather than continuing a mode that we've had for the last 3 decades that ensures nothing just but profits for real estate developers and investors. We want to make sure that we build a truly affordable housing market, and that's one way that Greens are different because nobody else is offering this federally.
So other top issues in this election are transit, access to healthcare, even crime. And again, I want to give you the opportunity to discuss the Green Party's position. You don't have to, obviously, these are, each one requires its
Yeah.
own answer, but in more of a, general kind of way, a big picture kind of way, what differentiates the Greens from other parties like the Liberals or NDP or Conservatives?
Yeah, I think one of the main ways that we tend to differentiate ourselves is we don't have a follow the leader mentality. We don't have a follow the polls mentality. When issues around crime or healthcare come up, we're not focused on, well, what's going to be best for us in polling. I think we've seen over the last few years a lot of the decision making behind the Liberals and the NDP is, does this poll well? Greens want to find real solutions that are going to help real people. We want to make sure that anything we do, any investments we make, go directly into helping people, not boosting profits for other folks. And if there's something I disagree with, for example, say the Canada Disability benefit that was brought in by the federal government, which was extremely low compared to what we were initially promised, I can stand up without threat from my leader, who may want to support that just because at least it gets something done, but I can stand up and say, hey, this isn't enough and I'm going to vote against this because it's not enough. Or vice versa, I can support it because I want to make sure something gets in there, even if my leader wants to take a bigger stand against it. We're allowed to make our own decisions as the Green Party member, something you're not going to find in any of the other parties, and I think it's a really valuable, really missing aspect to a lot of our politics.
I think this is important for a lot of our viewers to know that within the Green Party, there is autonomy, and it's not just follow the leader mentality.
Exactly.
So thank you for pointing that out. Now, if we start talking about a little bit international issues and the tariffs that Trump is imposing, I know a lot of Canadians are concerned. How would the Green Party tackle this very important and crucial issue that affects people's lives on a daily basis?
So I think very importantly, I want to recognize the fact that what the federal government under Mark Carney is currently doing, and the premiers, most of the premiers, is good. It's also 30 years too late. Greens have been talking about how we've been selling our wealth south for decades. And while we appreciate the fact that they're coming up now, it's taken a long time for us to get there and a major threat against us. Primary way Greens want to solve this issue is ensure that whatever government is in place, whether that's liberal or conservative, we're going to make sure that they actually follow through on the promises to protect Canadian sovereignty. That means ensuring wealth no longer transfers south. We want to support local businesses like Peach Coffee Co., where we're in right now, versus the Walmarts and the Costcos, which again, they come up here and they're great stores. I have a Costco membership, but they transfer all our wealth south. We want to make sure that we build Canadian options, and that's not going to happen if we continue to have these parties in place that have sold us out through various trade deals, through various side deals, all in the name of creating better profits for industries here.
Maybe that's one of the benefits or good things that's come out of this. If the silver lining, you could say, is that people have become a lot more conscious about where their products are being made, and
Exactly.
they are leaning more Canadian. We're seeing that more and more. Now, in other foreign policy, I know the Green Party has been outspoken on human rights issues in general. From Gaza and Palestine to India and China, there's a lot of issues going on. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to just reflect on that and where you see the Green Party is, and also where you want to see the federal government going.
Yeah, so I think the federal government has been lagging a lot of areas, especially related to Gaza and Palestine. We've seen over the last month an increasing level of violence against Palestinians in the area, and the federal government has nothing to say about the Israelis, nothing to say about the Israeli Defense Forces. Nothing to say at all, except general condemnation, sometimes not even mentioning who is doing the killing. I think, we're going to have a uphill battle now with Trump in office, especially. It wasn't too much different with Biden before, but Trump especially is pushing for the Israelis to go further and further with a lot of their damage. I think Canada, as Mark Carney said, we need to be a leader, so let's actually lead. Let's actually take a proper step forward on this front and say, we're no longer going to support the Israelis politically on this issue, for sure. We're no longer going to send our military material support to the Israeli government. We're going to make sure that there's an opposition proper internationally that makes sure that Palestinians are centered in this travesty. Same thing for Ukraine. I'm a massive supporter of Ukraine's independence, and while the Canadian government has done quite a lot, the fact is we've, again, as I mentioned earlier, taken a step back and allowed the Americans to lead. Well, the Americans are no longer leading. So how are we going to step up and defend sovereignty for Ukraine, for other countries, for Palestine? And I think the federal government really needs to take a good look at themselves and decide if they're going to lead, how are they going to lead? And Greens have supported these measures, and if we are reelected to Parliament with a larger caucus that can hold the government to account, I think we can get a lot better done.
So I want to bring it back to your campaign. Burlington has generally switched often between conservatives and liberals. Right now, the liberals are leading the polls. Why do you feel, and in a democracy, obviously, people have a right to run. And I wanted to give you the chance to talk about why it's important for candidates to run, whether they feel like winning is a long shot or they're growing momentum.
Yeah. So primarily, I live by the sort of creed that votes are earned, they're not given. So there's going to be a lot of talk about strategic voting in this election, as there was in the provincial election before. I want to make sure that people realize they have a option to vote for that aligns with their values. If they decide they want to vote for another party, that doesn't offend me, but I want to make sure people that say, I want to vote my values, I want to vote my principles, they have that option on the ballot. I don't think it's fair because the Liberal government, let's be honest, and Karina Gould, who was the minister at the time that stopped proportional representation from coming in, I don't think it's fair for them to say, you must vote for us to keep the other guy out, because they could have solved that issue. So if they're not going to solve the issue, then I'm not going to go away. I'm going to make sure people have a representative here. And that's why I feel it's really important that I've run in this election and make sure people can see me, people know I'm visible, and people have the ability to vote their values.
Well, two more questions for you.
Sure.
One, the Muslim population in Burlington has been growing over the years. What is your message to them?
My main message would be that please be involved. I ran briefly in the Milton by-election in 2024. There's a much larger Muslim population in Milton, and they were so deeply involved in that election. They held debates, they had questionnaires, they made sure that the candidates were accountable to the community. I don't see that as much in Burlington. I know that's something to do with just the size of the community, but there's also a lack of involvement when I talk with folks up in Milton. I think please be involved, host debates, ask us questions, keep us accountable. You are members of our Canadian family. Please make sure that you're participating and holding everybody to account for what we say, what we do. If there's no movement to hold everybody accountable, then things like what the federal government's been doing, ignoring the travesties in Gaza and the West Bank, are going to continue. Make your voice heard. That's all I ask. Just make your voice heard. You don't even have to vote for me. Just make your voice heard. Make sure nobody ignores you any further.
Kyle Hutton, Green Party candidate for Burlington. I know it's a busy time. Thank you for taking a few moments to talk to us. Really appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you, Ahmed.
Take care.
Take care.
And for our viewers, thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for more coverage of these elections on GTA Muslims Today.
With your eyes alive.